Imagine sailing on the newest, most luxurious ship on the Great Lakes. A vessel so grand, it's nicknamed the Greyhound of the Lakes, built for speed and comfort. This was the reality for passengers aboard the SS Algoma in the autumn of 1885. Fresh from its Scottish shipyard, the Algoma was one of 3 revolutionary steamships built for the Canadian Pacific Railway. These ships weren't just for transport. They were floating palaces designed to connect the eastern and western parts of Canada across the vast waters of the Great Lakes. The SS Algoma was a marvel of its time. At over 260 feet long, with a sleek steel hull, it was stronger, faster, and more elegant than any wooden ship that had come before. It represented the pinnacle of Victorian engineering and a bold new era of travel. Its maiden voyages were celebrated events, and as it churned through the waters of Lake Superior on November 5, 1885, everything seemed perfect. The ship was on its way from Owen Sound to Port Arthur, now known as Thunder Bay, carrying a full load of valuable cargo and about 45 souls, including crew and a handful of passengers. But Lake Superior is a force of nature, known for its unpredictable and violent temper. As night fell, the weather began to turn. A gentle breeze swelled into a furious gale, whipping up monstrous waves and blinding snow. A full-blown November blizzard had descended upon the lake, a storm of epic proportions that would later be known as the Mataafa storm. Aboard the Algoma, the mood shifted from relaxed comfort to growing anxiety. The powerful engine strained against the raging storm, and the steel hull that seemed so invincible just hours before was now being tossed about like a toy. Captain John Moore was an experienced sailor, but this was a storm unlike any he had ever faced. Visibility dropped to 0. He couldn't see the shore, the sky, or even the front of his own ship. Lost and disoriented in the swirling white chaos, he was sailing blind. The crew fought tirelessly to keep the ship on course, but the blizzard was relentless. The relentless pounding of the waves and the howling wind created an atmosphere of pure terror. They were completely at the mercy of the lake. Then, in the early morning hours of November 7th, it happened. A sudden, violent jolt shook the entire vessel. A horrifying sound of screeching, grinding metal echoed through the ship. The SS Algoma had struck something hard. It had run aground on the unforgiving, rocky shores of Isle Royale. The impact was catastrophic. The stern of the ship was immediately torn away by the ferocious waves, taking with it the engine room and many of the crew members quartered there. The ship had broken in 2. For the survivors huddled on the forward section of the wreck, a new nightmare began. They were stranded on a jagged piece of metal, battered by freezing waves and icy winds, with the shore tantalizingly close yet impossible to reach. The blizzard raged on, preventing any hope of immediate rescue. They were trapped, watching as their magnificent ship was torn to pieces around them. The cold was unbearable, and the sheer force of the lake threatened to sweep them away at any moment. For what felt like an eternity, they clung to life, exposed to the elements. Hope was fading fast, but as the storm finally began to subside, a small group of survivors, including the ship's purser and a few crewmen, made a desperate decision. They managed to make it to the icy shore and then, through sheer willpower, trekked inland through the deep snow. It was a grueling journey, but it led them to a group of local fishermen who had been taking shelter from the storm. A rescue party was quickly organized. Battling the frigid aftermath of the blizzard, they made their way back to the wreck. What they found was a scene of utter devastation. Only 14 people had survived the ordeal. Around 40 souls, including Captain Moore, had been lost to the icy waters of Lake Superior. The wreck of the SS Algoma was one of the worst maritime disasters in the history of the Great Lakes. Today, the remains of the SS Algoma lie in the shallow, clear waters off Isle Royale, now a part of a national park. It serves as a popular site for divers and a haunting memorial to the power of the Great Lakes and the lives that were lost that terrible November night. The story of the Greyhound of the Lakes is a chilling reminder that no matter how advanced our technology, we are always subject to the immense power of nature. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. If you found this story compelling, please give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more tales from the depths of history. See you next time.